I'm here in the dark of this room to convey the message with very easy tone and punctuation of summoning the death essence through your contact with the spirits. So, here in this elegant atmosphere of my home tonight, and faking the most perfect of British accents, we are with a little classical music in the background with Mozart Requiem, which means a mass for the dead. And while playing this lugubrious music, we are about to give you the shortest but most essential messages on how to summon the dead. May it be your uncle, your brother, your sister, whoever died in your family, and you want to call upon these people because you miss them. Think that a séance was a very effective way to call these people, and it was the most entertaining thing to do for the London bourgeoisie in some parts of history, like the 19th century, for example. And it's still fashionable nowadays to do. And although it's a topic that reflects the desire to attract a lot of money, so a lot of people make movies on Ouija board, and although some people say that the Ouija board has what you call trickster spirit, and in some way it's true. It's also true that if you use the Ouija board not to call whoever spirit is on the other side to talk to you, but if you call a specific spirit, angel, or fairy, then the specific angel or fairy will manifest. Or just like if you call Mark, or if you're still pretending to be British, if you call Mark on the phone, and then who's gonna answer to you? Is it gonna be Mark, or is it gonna be Mike? If you called Mark, it's probably going to be Mark who's going to answer to you. So you don't need to be panicked, and you don't need to be nauseous or afraid to make this call to Mike, who could also be somebody close to you who unfortunately died. And some people say fortunately if there's somebody really tedious and boring and not fond of good manners. In that case, you would say, good God, he died. So if you want to call Mark and dial Mark's number on your phone, it's not gonna be Rebecca answering, but it's gonna be Mark. Same way if you call with the Ouija board, say Christ, it's impossible that Satan was given that power. He was never given the power to respond or to be the secretary of Christ or to pretend to be something that he's not. So although if not, well, you don't have to talk to Satan, but although if not prompt with the divine name, Satan would say that he is God, but he cannot. God is a broad term. He cannot say that he's Jehovah, right? So you can say that he's God, but you can't say that he's Jehovah. So always use, well, if you call him God with Ouija board, it's not going to mean that Satan is going to answer, but always use the proper first name of the angel or entity. Say you want to call a fairy of Venus because you want to be more beautiful, then say fairy of Venus, I want to call you. Don't say any spirit that can give me beauty, come. Don't say I want to call into the circle any spirit, because in that case a demon might appear, okay, lying to you and possessing you and causing bad things to happen into your home, perhaps, which the dead might do sometimes while the angels are not going to do. Okay, the dead might do or might makes move some things around if you ask them for a sign, or if you haven't respected them enough. So, but the delightful notes of Mozart are playing for this wonderful sort of lounge soiree where we are focused on the darkness aspect of life. It's this rush that characterizes both life and death that is trying to be captured by these very notes being played. Like I'm here on my sofa and with the notes being played by Mozart, who died. And you understand that it's that tunnel that led you to life that eventually will lead you, well, not now, I hope, or could it be, back to death. So, in this sort of haunted panorama, I want to bring you towards the essence of death. Such essence is characterized and symbolized and lied by the tarot card of death. So, death is symbolized by the tarot card of death, which doesn't mean death, but it means change. So, when you change, you summon into you the essence of death, and this is why change is so frightening to you, because it has to do with death, while stillness and tranquility have to do with life, and that's so esoteric that you haven't understood that while you live, you are being very still and very tranquil and very calm, while when you are in spirit form as dead, you're being very rushed and very fast, just like spirits that can move at a very fast pace. They're not praising me, unfortunately. They should. He didn't know me in this physical body, perhaps, and he couldn't write this song for me. But indeed he did, because I'm listening to it. So I'm sorry that I don't have any red wine tonight. But if you want to cool the dead, you can, first of all, you can relax and understand that no dead person is going to hurt you. Before calling the dead, you have to call some sort of angel like Azrael or spirit, unless you talk to them already, and see if the person deceased is still on, on duty, on call. So if he hasn't reincarnated yet, or if she hasn't, then you have to wonder if the person is, as you know, there's 3 dimensions of death. Is it paradise, is it purgatory, or is it hell that the person is in? Because if the person isn't in paradise, then it is a sin to call upon this person, and besides, it's a very bad idea for you if you've seen the movie The Exorcist, or if you've seen other movies. In the case of demons or bad spirits and the Ouija board, not because of the Ouija board, but because of your incompetence and idiocy, can become a symbol of possession, but it can also become a symbol of anointment if you use it to call, say, Archangel Metatron or Archangel Michael or Jesus. So it just depends on how you use the symbol. It's not the symbol's fault. Is it wrong to possess a fork? I mean, with a fork you can eat, and you can probably use the fork to put the fork into somebody's eyes so they lose sight forever, right? Are we going to ban forks forever just because in many movies we've seen forks being used? Not forks, the city of Twilight, but forks being used in a completely wrong manner. So as my spiritual teacher when I was younger, still young, but when I was younger, said to me then, you have to use the Star of David or the hexagram to put the hexagram on your Ouija board before calling a spirit. In this case, not only you know that when you call an angel, you call an angel, but also when you use it, you know that you're safe, and only light spirits are able to connect to the hexagram symbol, so you're totally protected. And if you're afraid of gesture spirits, which in reality don't exist, but if you're afraid of them, then you can use the hexagram, or I used personally a crucifix or any other holy symbol. Then you don't have to do anything else but get a Ouija board, and it comes with planchette, or you can use a coin, and some people use a glass, but you need more strength for it. So you just use the means that they give you, and it costs you sometimes even $10 to buy a Ouija board. And that's it. They don't. If you don't have money, you can take a piece of paper and write the letters of the alphabet, then write numbers, and then write yes, no, hello, and goodbye. And then you don't even need to write, like the first séance that I had. I think it was, Christ is telling me I was 9, and and I spoke with the spirit. I was in the forest, and I was with a friend of mine, and we called upon a spirit that we didn't know who it was, and in that case we wrote down the terms positive and negative to help the spirit define itself. So if it's an angel or a demon, we didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't know that a positive spirit was the only thing that we wanted, the only entity, that type of entity that we wanted to talk with. But luckily, when the spirit manifested, it said that it was positive. We, of course, thought that the negative spirit was gonna kill ourselves. It's not. If it's a demon, it's not going to kill yourself. People who are possessed don't die like that same second, but still, you don't want to attract a negative spirit. And even if a demon tries to approach you, all you have to do is say no. It's not. They don't have an overwhelming power. Okay, it's just like in the movies where you take out a cross and they walk back. Okay. The cross is you, the human spirit, so it's already going in front, steady towards the enemy, and just like Saint Michael using the sword to get rid of it. Be a light warrior. Was Mozart one? We don't know. You could ask him, you just talk to spirits like that, and you joke around with angels too. You don't have to live in contempt just because you are holy. You have to be respectful, but you can be informal at times. Okay? So you contact an angel and ask the angel through the Ouija board if it's safe to contact, say, Uncle John. So if, say, Zachiel, the angel of Jupiter, says that yes, because Uncle Joe used to eat a lot of pancakes and used to enjoy life, so he's in paradise, then you can contact Uncle Joe. But then if Zachiel or Raphael says no, because Uncle Joe used to give up on the pleasures of life and used to give up on pancakes because he liked pancakes, but he didn't eat them. Then God said, because I created pancakes and he liked them, he had the power to make himself happy, but he didn't make himself happy. So I sent him to hell. So please do not call upon him, or they might tell you that the person has reincarnated. So it's not safe it's not a good idea to call on them with the Ouija board just because they wouldn't answer. So is a demon allowed to jump onto you when you call upon Archangel Michael using a Ouija board? No. I personally called on, say, Mother Mary with the Ouija board, and I talked to her, and it was her. And well, after you learn how to hear voices, so you know how to learn how to be crazy and hear voices from God, because that's considered lunacy, then that's where you focus on this, like hearing them. I hardly ever use the Ouija board anymore because it takes longer. That, like they say a lot of things that sometimes you don't have the time to spend that 10 minutes on the Ouija board, so that they tell you those 4 or 5 things that you have to do during the day and explain them to you. It's best just to talk to them like this, like if you're talking to a friend. That's the whole point. If you make spiritualism complicated, then it's complicated. It's complicated because you don't have the means to understand it, so you make it complicated, so yes, that allure, that's your incompetency. But if you make it simple because you understand it, and then it's simple, just like math, if you understand it, it's simple, then it is simple, and it's symbolic too. So even if you're not called to be a professional medium, you can still try and have the dead, it's not scary, have the dead talk to you. And even when I go to the cemetery, which in my current home I live very close to the cemetery, and I might post a video in a few weeks on how to curse with angels at the cemetery. If I bring my laptop with me, or if I bring myself, I mean, I have to set things up, but I might do that. So it's a lot of fun to go to the cemetery and talk to these dead people and bring them comfort. Is just as if you were talking to some humans, and with the only difference that the dead people have understood life's lessons their own. They could be more advanced or more like intermediate than you, or more beginner, like more at a lower type of level than you. And they're certainly lower physically because their bodies are dead, but doesn't mean that their spirit isn't higher. So their spirit has soared higher, okay? And the body is lower because it's prevailing over hell and it's facing the sky. So Lucifer is defeated even at the time of death. That's why they're buried that way, because they're facing the sky and they're turning their backs, from hell. They're turning their backs. You don't even deserve my corpse. And I'm sure they'll say it with this beautiful British accent that's perhaps from Birmingham, or maybe from Scotland, so it's no longer British, but still an accent. So, while you talk to your intellectual friends and intimate people around the Ouija table, do we want to call it, and then we summon not demons. We summon your uncle, the Uncle Joe, who liked pancakes because Christ told you that he wasn't a sinner and he's in paradise now. Then you switch, spirit, and then you say goodbye to Christ, and then you enter in contact with, well, you always keep the contact with Christ, but you enter in contact with another spirit, and you always like switch it in the positive sense of the word from one spirit to the other. When you are a magician, you're talking to Michael and you say Mary, why? It's always saying the same thing because they're not contradicting each other, but those are the demons, the two voices that contradict each other, and they create that disharmony, and then the angels confirm that everyone has its own style and his own soul. So, Mary, what do you think about this? Like, if I have a problem with my femininity, because I'm allowed to have a femininity even though I'm a guy, I'll possibly talk to Mary more because of her personality than I would talk to Shamuel, who is the Archangel of Mars, which in astrology embodies the male spirit. So I might talk to Mary more about my femininity and perhaps to Shamuel less about it, but it doesn't mean that, So, and then after you contact the dead spirit, you can do this on your own too. And it doesn't have to be fashionable, it doesn't have to be, oh my god, this ghost coming at me, oh my god, just like, oh my god, and then that's all you know. Okay? So it's much more. Always give the spirit relief, and I pray a lot for the souls of the purgatory. And you cannot pray for the souls in hell, because those are, well, stupid, but also they cannot be saved by us. So they can save themselves if they desire, so they can ascend higher and higher and much, much higher. Okay? Please know that the purgatory doesn't have it was a client writing to me, Lauren, which I say hello to. I cannot say what she wrote for privacy concerns, but I was reading what Facebook was telling me. I'm sorry. So just like, talking to people who are alive and then switching to people who are dead, and vice versa, is not a dangerous idea, nor it is a dangerous idea to talk to the angel and then switch to humans, okay? So again, spirits are not dangerous. Spirits are spirits, so they're spiritual, okay? Spirits are also safe. Spirits are spiritual or mental, and sometimes, like Mary, they have a physical body, but you can't see it. So, and then you talk to your relative. This way you can also discover the ways that people died. Say there was a killing on TV. Well, with the killings, the thing is that when there's a killing on TV, a lot of the victims might have gone to hell, so you don't even want to call upon them. But if it's been years, maybe they've gone to heaven. You can call upon them, and even if the case is still not resolved, could be, and then call upon them and say, how come did you die? And then they'll tell you who killed them, and then I can give you names. This is why a lot of police in the world uses mediums to solve crimes, because they can't see things as policemen that us as non-policemen can see, and so we as magicians again are more interesting and more useful and find missing people and stuff. If the person believes us, because I've had somebody in my angel magic group that I told her the exact city where her missing husband was. Angel said to me that the reason why he escaped her was that she didn't love him. You also have to wonder why the person is missing. It's not always because of pure coincidence, but I didn't tell her that. I just thought it because God said it. And then I said that I was going with a ritual that probably was gonna cost about, in pounds, I think it was gonna be £30. But just because she's more dead, the people that are dead, she said that I was making a profit out of her suffering. And how did I dare to sleep at night? So the line between, people who are alive and dead, by their own choice can be very thin sometimes. But that's not an excuse. I'm not gonna say the name of the person, but it was somebody from the UK, I think. And it doesn't matter which future the person is calling, okay? It's your attitude that creates the response for the spirit, okay? And spiritualist. So again, it's apparent that the person didn't want to be reconnected with the husband who, that I prayed for and who's gonna make it. So the coincidences are splendid, and like sometimes how the person thought to be dead comes back to life. And so you can't call upon this person's husband because he's still alive. And instead of thanking me, she didn't. So sometimes you cannot accept the living, and sometimes you cannot accept the dead. It's all part of life. And when you can accept, then you accept what you want to have in you. That's it. So and I remember that she really accepted the fact that the husband was still alive, but the thing is that she didn't accept my help to help her find it, and I told her, where he was. And just because he was in the same, town where she was, it's probably, I don't know, she had to buy a $20 train ticket, and she said, no, he can't be it. And he was going to be saved, but she didn't want to pay. It depends what price you give to something, so how worthwhile is my time, and how worthy is your husband's life. Apparently it wasn't worth $30, so who am I to worry, right? And also with death, if the death isn't premature, all deaths that take place is because God wants them to take place. So as bitter as it sounds, when one dies, one wants to die, or deserves to die, or it's their time to die. So that's why some people have a party when somebody dies. And if you ever watched the movie Funeral Party, it's hilarious. And there's this guy who takes some type of like shrooms or LSD, some type of, or mental drugs, and something that causes hallucinations to happen. And he starts seeing things, and strange things happen during the funeral. So to enter the heightened state of being, you don't need to take like the shamans do. You don't need to take drugs, because you're getting higher and you're getting lower. You just need to let go of your negative part and connect with God, who is already ecstasy. Okay, that's already bliss, and that's already drugs you up better than any other type of drugs. You're hooked on God much more than you hooked on chronic, or you're hooked on another type of drug that they might even sell in England. So, my dear friends, we're almost towards the end of our class, and it's again very easy. You just have to again let the dead person talk through you, Okay? Well, I hope she doesn't mind it, but I have a client whose name is, well, I'll pronounce it in Italian because I never heard it in English, so I'm not a native English speaker. Um, Priscilla, okay, Applegate, one of my clients, she has a, well, her mother died time ago, so I'm sorry, but I know she was sent upwards, not downwards. So eventually she made it, and so I'm now going to call again. I hope that she doesn't mind me doing this, but I will call upon her, and I don't remember her name. She'll speak through me and give you all a message. Hello, little ones. I want to give you tender, sweet greetings for all of you, and especially for my daughter. Thank you. So that was her, and I said, spirit of this person's mother, speak through me, and I just let go without expectations of what that person might say, because I don't know. And I discovers the person's energy, and if you psychic, you can sense somebody else's energy in here right now. That's not me, okay? That's somebody else's energy. That's more feminine energy entered here, okay? Peaceful, refined, detached, sometimes energy of my client's mother. And she said what she said, hello little ones, through me. And then I said, could you please tell them that you're thankful? In my mind I said it, and she said, no, thank you. You don't command the spirit. If you using the spirit of the dead for a curse, sometimes, well, not my client's mother, but sometimes you use Jesus' name to conjure. In this case, I don't conjure spirit in the sense that I don't force them, but if it's the spirits of the dead, unless it's, I don't know, somebody who died who had a significant experience in witchcraft in life, which sometimes you cannot know, most times you might just use the God, Jesus' name, AGLA, for example, Agla, or other divine names, as the ones that you know. And by this name, please, I don't know, spirits of the dead. I'm giving you a preview of one of the next classes about curses. Please curse, by this divine name, please curse Samantha, because, I don't know, my husband cheated on me with Samantha, and fuck her, and I want to curse her. And you go to the cemetery, and by this name, please, spirits of this cemetery, curse Samantha so that, I don't know, she gets brain tumor, or she goes blind, or she stumps her, smashes her head somewhere. Um, Anything that, I mean, she goes to the hospital and goes back clear, but you need to be even with everyone and say somebody. I mean, what about child molesters? Wouldn't you curse them? Wouldn't you curse somebody in God's name, like God does already, and how, like, He tells you to? Then, if years go by, you want to forgive them, you can, release the curse. Feel that you've made it so far. But why not? Why holding on to the negative that people give you? Can't always forgive. In that case, you also use the dead. I'm about to leave you. I wanted to leave you with a message of Azrael on the remaining topics that we haven't spoken of, including the tradition of spirit sessions. Let's call them seances in England. Seances from some type of root that means to see and to move. To see and to move are two important verbs in the Ouija time, because you see on the other side and then you move the perceptions on this side and you move. Okay? Still not praising me in this song, but praising parts of this song. Praise God. And as always, it's still me, not Azrael. Always you're welcome to ask me questions privately and pay for a class, perhaps $30. The class covers the coincidence of knowledge into my head of different rituals of knowledge with different spirits that give me knowledge, and a synthesis of my past lives and the splendid recollections of the books that I've read, and my positivity. And by the way, I do have the power that people come to me, they're healed, and the problems that they have automatically already, even if they don't pay me. And I pray to all the saints every day that, the sickest, the better. I mean, the more people come to me, doesn't matter how disastrous is your life, the more, I have to work on it, the better it is. I don't judge you. Okay, a lot of clients thank me because I don't judge them. I could not care less about judging you. I just want you to change. So let's going back to the death essence of change. Now, actually, if he says he doesn't know, I'm gonna talk about the tradition of spirit sessions in England in the 19th century. I'm asking Christ to give me some hints about how it worked. So it was very fashionable to do these things back then, because the aristocracy used to do them. Also, central part of London, East London, was not so much anymore. It was very full of spirits of the deceased because of various cemeteries where people used to go physically to summon the dead there, and then they would open portals for these dead spirits to come back at will into our world. And that's the splendid word of death, that it tells us that death is an illusion and so is life, right? Both the universe is dual at first, like when it's some part of the esoteric truth might tell you that the universe is might be true at first. Indeed, it's not. It's one. Okay, so death and life aren't different. Okay. And I bless all the people who compliment me, so please compliment me a lot, because I'm crazy and I hear voices. So, death and life are the same thing on different planes, because we are alive. It doesn't matter. There's other physicalities in heaven and other physicalities in hell and other physicalities in purgatory, okay? The world of matter isn't unavailable in paradise or in other dimensions beyond this. So it's just that these portals will open for people to walk through them, and because England is quite esoteric, they walk through them and they walk back. It's just like going to the subway. You go to the subway and then you go back home. And it's no difference if you walk in heaven or if you walk home. It's the same energy, and that's the web of energy that God created. You are safe here, that you are there. It's the same thing. If you think that it's different or it's too cool, or that you're too cool for school, that you don't want to learn this, or that you don't deserve this, or that you go meaning Satan might say that you don't want this because you're very old, you don't want this because you don't need it. Angels were telling me the worries of specific people in the audience. You don't need this because you're more of somebody with competences that you don't have. No, prove it. So get yourself to work, and you can call the wonderful dragons, the beloved unicorns, the angels, the fairies, and all these people. So going back to London and England, these portals were opened. It takes years to close them with a lot of unhappiness on part of the dead, and see if the whole world had this respectful contact with God and his creatures and all the forms of life everywhere, then there will be a lot of light, collaboration with the dead, and talking to them. When you talk to old people because you keep them company, it's the same thing. You must keep them company, make them happy. They are sometimes nostalgic of the flesh and the body, and at the same time they're more happy than us. In other ways they aren't, but they still experience paradise, which is incredibly better than what we experience, but because they have a human memory and they have a longing for her earth, they know that they will spend most time in earth, on the earth. Then also depends if their past life they were frustrated or not. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that when you talk to dead people, not just because, and this is something that I have a hard time understanding myself, but not just because they're in paradise, then it doesn't matter if all of their past lives have made mistakes. I mean, they're still humans, and they've understood their mistakes. That's why they're sad, and they're not stupid and shallow like us, okay? And all of these people that don't understand thing. There's a woman in the audience, the unicorns are telling me that is pregnant. She's gonna have a baby. Next year, perhaps April or March, something like that. It's a woman who doesn't know she got pregnant a week ago, found out one. So it's the same circle again. It's like the circle of water that becomes gas and then goes back to physical water, and then it's all of the elements go through the same circle of life in different shapes and formats with the same consciousness that we as magicians keep for the following lives. I can remember my past lives. Some other people cannot. Nowadays you have cards. I always quote during birth, always summon her because she's wonderful, so she did. These cards from past lives, so if you want to buy them, you're good to know your past lives. If not, Archangel Azrael, which I learned from her that it's good for these purposes of seeing your past lives. So you see your past life, and not everyone is happy with it. So even if the soul is in heaven, still needs gentleness, still needs care, still needs comfort, still needs to talk to you because she or he, the spirit, misses you. You idiot, it misses you. You have to talk to them because they miss you. Don't you miss them too? So I didn't turn on the light because I thought it would be more obscure and interesting to, give this lecture with, you know, I say lecture because I don't think it's my path, but one of my astrologers said to me that he'd see me well as a university professor. And I do have the degrees for that, but I just prefer to be, a home witch. So I'll stick to that. and I'll stick like, Sister Act song to God like a stamp to a letter. And I have other plans too, but they're private. So I have these things that I keep in mind, and so the dead the ones stick to you because, in the positive sense, because they miss life. So they call on me again. A lot of times they're gonna tell you, call on me again. I want to hear from you again. Okay. And again, just like with spirit, when you call an Uncle Joe, it's not Aunt Jeanette that used to hate, that used to cook the ugliest food on earth, and you never appreciated her. It's not gonna be her, but it's going to be Uncle Joe and not Aunt Jeanette. So whom you call is who you connect with. Okay? And then you purify the room, and then you leave it, and then your seance is concluded. So London was very interesting, and a lot of people connected to Agatha Christie later on, and a lot of people connected to the writers like Lev Tolstoy, and a lot of writers, famous people that give them insight on how to write. A lot of novels like Jack and Jill, the thriller, that I've personally read, not all of it, but when I was 14, about that age. And then I dreamt of Lady Diana that same night that I read the novel, being killed by Jack and Jill. And then I turned on the television and she had that accident that a lot of people say it's esoteric, but I believe truly it's pure coincidence. But it's because David Icke says 13, the 13th pole, so death, right? And they said Freemasons set it up for her, but again, I don't believe it, even though she got engaged with a Muslim. No Satanist really cares about. No one truly wants to kill anybody. I don't. I'm sticking up for the Queen. God bless the Queen, and I'm sure that not God bless the royal family of England. None of these people. I mean, I'm moved to tears to read these things that people in the government or the Illuminati, all these things that people in the government want to hurt us. They want to. I think it's all a lie. I think it's all a lie. They really love us, and there's nothing wrong with them. So I'm sending out my prayers to the Queen and for the loss that she had, and you know. So you can call them past queens. I called upon Elizabeth I once. I talked to her just because I was decapitated in the life that she was queen, because I lived in England and I was decapitated at age 13 because I didn't agree with the fact that brought she changed the church into the Anglican church, and I was 13, which is mostly wrong because it's something that God accepted. But I was involved with the Catholic Church in a lot of my past lives in ways that you don't imagine. But in that life, I wasn't entirely positive, even if God understood that I wanted the church to be as pure as possible. And a lot of priests didn't agree, being Catholic ones, with that. It still wasn't a good idea to go, against that type of power to jump out and say, I don't like this. I was decapitated for contrasting, face to face the Queen in that life, which is very much the Luciferian principle of rebellion, that you want to aim too high and you end up too low. So I totally renounced that. But after that, I called upon her to see how she was doing, and she was as dead as ever. But she was at the same time, it's true that God wouldn't have killed me for something like that. He would have talked to me. So he obviously made it heavier for her. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. But I was killed by her, but I don't hold grudges. So we have different past lives and we have different karma. So I had invoked her because I know that as an heretic, you could say I was killed by, not by her personally, but by people commanded or sent by her, who was a very splendid and very esoteric queen that I hold in the highest regard. So you can even call upon her angel to say that it'll be about the 7 months up to a year before she reincarnates, and depends on what she wants to do. So, before she makes up her mind, possibly, you don't know who she's going to be. You don't know who she's going to be. To pray for her. So it was something very widespread, and the requiem is almost over. So, a few more concepts about England and mysticism and the summoning of dead people. They used to hold hands. There used to be 13 of them because they knew that that's the number of death. Used to summon the dead. Used to hold hands together. Used to take hands high and summon the spirit. Used to rejoice in the spirit's light. Rejoice in the spirit's light. Last thing that sometimes reality and connection to dreams evaporates. Thank you. I know. I wanted to make it elaborate just to get that clapping. Thank you. So I'll keep that on. Last for 2-3 minutes, boost my ego. So, and then this barrier disconnects you from reality as you know it and makes you enter the real reality, not of death but of spirit. So if you talk to an angel, that's the reality you want. And then last thing I want to leave you with is that you have to be more confident. As the people in England were confident, they used to call on these spirits with confidence. That's it. And now that was me somehow. And now I'm going to talk through, Azrael will talk through and he will tell you what he has to tell you. And then I will have him say goodbye, and I won't. But I will pray for you, and I'll keep you in my heart. And I will. I hope that you will never call anybody from the other side, because I hope nobody dies in your world. But it's life, part of it. So, email esotericservices.america@gmail.com or add me on Skype, Metatron, like the Archangel. And then dash fiore, meaning flower in Italian, Fiore. That's my Skype, so you can add me on there. I have it on my CV to people who don't understand who Metatron is, you might. And we can talk, and I can talk to your dead relatives and bring messages to you. Now all my readings are $60 and all my rituals are $120. It's not too expensive. During Virtue suggested to me during her classes to charge $100 for reading, so it's not too much to charge 60, and it's definitely worth it. It's life-changing events that bring happiness to you. So send me all your money and be blessed. And I'm just kidding, but I'm here to help you and as everybody, because I sometimes do rituals. I work for days. I deserve my compensation, and you deserve your compensation to know all the spiritual truths in the world that God is able to tell you through me, that you may learn to hear His voice and to follow His command. And may Michael appear to you in miraculous manners as He appeared to many saints, prophets, and visionaries like Joan d'Arc in the past, and may now be opening up your life. Okay, I got my glory. Now, Archangel Azrael, thank you. I think that we've come to the conclusion that the dead have something to say to us, and we've come to the conclusion they want to love us even more now than they used to in the past. And we've come to the conclusion that Rocco is an amazing teacher and that he loves you all. And we've come to the conclusion that these videos are free, but after all, we've come to the conclusion that they deserve compensation of some kind, even if it's just love or a prayer, because they're putting up information that it's free for you. Going back to the dead, we've come in, we want to tell you that we haven't been able to solve all your problems still as angels because you haven't called upon us still. And going back even slightly more to the realm of the dead, this is how it is created. So if you have understood how, please email to Rocco to the email he gave you, or Facebook him the meaning and the image that you've seen now, and how Archangel Azrael created this connection with the dead, and the first person that answers is going to be a free ritual. So thank you and goodbye. Got scared.